sorry, nothing for the and I have with me also tonight, Dr. David Wilsey, the Director of Masters of Development Practice and Humphrey International Fellowships Program at the University of Minnesota Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And last but not least, we have the YLSS alumna Namatullah Sulaiman. She is YLSS alumna for graduate for the year 2021, and she is now PhD student in comparative and international development education and a graduate instructor at UMN Department of Organizational Leadership. And organizational leadership, policy, and development at the University of Minnesota. So today they will all be sharing some information and their experiences about the program. We will try to cover most of your questions during the presentation, but in case you still have some questions, please type them in the Q&A box or section. It's either at the bottom of your screen or at the top. And we will reply to them during the presentation or at the end of the session. Okay. So I'm really excited to say that this is the 10th round of the YLSS program. The program has been running since 2015, and we are very proud as Newton to have been administering this program, and we have seen so many exceptional people passing through this program and graduate and go on and do amazing things in the world of development. So now I'll hand it to Ms. Amira Adel. She will tell us more about the Sawiris Foundation, their purpose, and the YLSS program.
Thank you so much, Nadine, and thank you, Dr. Dave and Namatullah, for being with us today. As Nadine said, very quickly, I'm Amira Adel, a Senior Scholarship Officer at the Sawiris Foundation. I wanted just to start by giving you a brief background about who Sawiris Foundation is and what is the nature of our jobs. So Sawiris Foundation is a family NGO that works in development in Egypt. And it's one of the very few organizations that has a very clear strategy and objective to all the work that it's involved in. We have a strategy that is built on two goals. So our objectives throughout all our interventions is to reduce multidimensional poverty in Egypt and to empower agents of change. And this part is a bit important because agents of change, when we say agents of change, what we refer to here is our scholars, the students that receive the scholarships that we provide. And through these scholarships, they're able to create positive change in their surrounding community. So in order for us to reach these objectives, we have three main sectors within the organization. So we have the economic empowerment section, the social empowerment section, and then we have the education and scholarship sector. And this is the sector that organizes and runs the Yousriya Loza-Sawiris scholarship. We're very proud that Newton Services are the ones that are administrating this scholarship with us for many rounds. This year is the 10th round of the Yousriya Loza scholarship. It was launched in 2015. And it is for all of the development practitioners in Egypt that are interested to pursue their Masters of Development Practice at Herbert Humphrey School of Public Affairs at the University of Minnesota. This scholarship is a very unique scholarship because it doesn't just cover the tuition fees. We have coverage for the living expenses, the travel expenses, health insurance, the summer field experience. And throughout your journey, if there are any medical emergencies, any issues, you want to travel back to your family for a few days, all of this is covered within the scholarship benefits. Until now, we have 15 graduates and 2 students who just started their academic year back in September. This is just a very quick brief about the scholarship. I think we can first go through a bit of an intro about the University of Minnesota and the School of Public Affairs, and then we'll go back to the terms and conditions of the scholarship.
Thank you, Ms. Amira. And now I'll leave it to Dr. David to tell us more about the University of Minnesota, the Herbert Humphrey School of Public Affairs, and the MDP program.
Great. Thank you, Nadine, and thank you, Amira, for setting the stage for this great fellowship that I'm happy to tell you a little bit more about. Through the lens of the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. So the Humphrey School is currently ranked 11th amongst the 269 public affairs schools in the US. Our reputation is strong, and we've been at or around the top 10 for many of the last 5 or 6 years, if not a little bit longer. And so the way we rank the school, just for a little bit of clarification, because the first two bullet points can be a little confusing, is that the school itself is ranked, and then some of the programs within the schools, the degree programs within the schools, can also be ranked. And so if you're confused by the 10th and the 14th and the 11th on this slide, I think the most effective way to kind of describe the school's ranking is that we're a top 10 public affairs school with a number of different degree programs, of which the Masters of Development Practice degree program is one of them. That Masters of Development Practice degree program, because it's a rather small degree in the grand scheme of public affairs education, is not a nationally ranked, it's not in a national ranking system. So there is no ranking for the development practice degree or that aspect of the school, just as there isn't for some of the other programs within our school. There's just a few that have national ranking scores, and those are presented here. I think that's probably too much information about the ranking system, but I think what you need to know most importantly is that we have a fantastic faculty, international faculty that focuses on a broad interdisciplinary suite of topics and brings their experience, their global experience, to the teaching and research that you see and encounter at the school. So the MDP program specifically prepares young professionals, often individuals who have worked for 1 or 2 years after undergraduate education, for careers in sustainable development. Sustainable development is a large category that can include international development, it can include community development, and it can include any other sort of change-oriented activity, programmatic change-oriented activity that you might care to do as a professional. I think sometimes we get trapped into calling it an international development degree, but very often our graduates work locally and within their communities in their home, as well as internationally. And sometimes they switch back and forth. So I think that's important to know. But we focus on knowledge, skills, and importantly, competencies that are important, if not essential, to development practitioners working across cultures, across national borders, and across thematic areas. Poverty and inequality, social justice, environmental justice, climate change. Those are some of the thematic areas that we work in. And our graduates have worked in just about evenly across every sector, the public, private, and nonprofit sector, and really take quite a variety of positions. And over the course of the 10 years that we've been offering this degree through this fellowship, we've seen tremendous movement throughout organizations, across and throughout organizations, from the Sawiris graduates. Then I think if you look at some of the positions that are held by some of the alumni of this program, you'll get a really representative look at the breadth and depth of employment that people have after they complete the degree, including higher education, as Nama will talk about in just a minute. But I think something that's really important, there's a list of things here that we focus on within the program. But I think something that's really important for me to say is that this program is importantly about interdisciplinary practice and thinking. And so we're really deliberate and structurally designed to have students work and study across different disciplinary areas within the university. That means taking courses in other, so we have the university, and then we have different colleges or faculties within the university, and then different schools and departments within those faculties. And so we have a deliberate structure that has students taking courses in different faculties and departments across the university. We have structures that are designed to mix our students with students from other programs through capstones and through projects within classes, so that the learning experience is both interdisciplinary and peer-to-peer and focused on exposure to people who are learning in different ways and in different locations around the university environment. And that helps us, we believe, to produce practitioners who are capable of working across boundaries as professionals. integrating content from different areas, looking at complex challenges, and bringing to bear different solutions in creative ways through the use of different knowledge systems. Next slide. Some of the things that, yep, right here. So some of the things that we are really excited about with this program and that we think give it its signature are something that I just talked about a lot, the interdisciplinarity of the program. One of the really important ways that the practice aspect of the degree is brought to life is through a field experience. It's often, but not always, in another country. Sometimes we have them in the US, and we tend to have them focused in areas that have similar issues to developing countries, if we want to use that term. So this summer, for example, we had a project in rural Tanzania. We had a project in southern Belize in the Americas. And then we also had a project in northern Wisconsin, which is the state next to Minnesota, working with tribal food systems. So the essence of this field experience is that it's client-driven. We're in contact with different organizations around the world. We've worked with 50 in over 30 different countries. The organizations present project concepts to us, and we staff those projects with our students. And as I said in the other slides, these are a mix of students from different programs, from different backgrounds, typically all within the MDP program. And that is an 8-week experience in country or in location where the team works and lives in the field site. And we like to think it's a highly transformative experience. The capstone project, which happens in the 4th semester of the program, is similar to the field experience, but it's done from Minnesota. And it's structured very similarly in the sense that students are mixed across, in this case, both discipline areas and different program areas, and they're working with client-based projects. And so they're both, in effect, consultancies that you get to do as a student. And then we, as a program, curate that portfolio of opportunities that are available to you.
Thank you, Dr. David. That was very informative and such a great program and experience for development practitioners to go through. So now on to the eligibility criteria. I would like to clarify that we have 2 application forms. One form for the YLSS program for the scholarship, the Yousriya Loza-Sawiris scholarship that we apply for, and then we apply for the University of Minnesota. So they are 2 separate application forms, and we first apply for the Yousriya Loza-Sawiris scholarship, and when we get accepted with the guidance and the supervision of Newton Education Services, we apply for the Hubert Humphrey School at the University of Minnesota. So here we see the eligibility criteria for the Yousriya Loza-Sawiris scholarship, and some points are similar to the acceptance for the MDP program. So first, the YLSS program is for Egyptian nationals who hold a bachelor degree with good academic standing. And there is an English proficiency requirement. So you have to go and sit for one of the 3 tests, either TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. And you have to go through either one of those. You can't apply a document verifying that you had your undergrad in English. You have to have TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo, and these are the minimum scores and minimum subscores. For instance, TOEFL, the minimum score is 79, writing subscore is 21, reading subscore is 19. For the IELTS, the minimum is 6.5, the writing band 6.5, and the reading band is 6.5. For the Duolingo, the minimum is 115, with the minimum literacy subscore 115. Also, there is a professional background requirement. The scholarship requires that you have at least 2 years of working experience in the field of development. The scholarship also is looking for individuals who have strong interpersonal skills, who have demonstrated community engagement, and have done volunteer work or extracurricular activities. And there is also a financial requirement because as we said, as Ms. Amira said, that the scholarship is partially funded, it's not fully funded. So the student is required to fund the fourth semester. So it's largely funded. It's very generously funded for the first, second, and third semester. However, the student's responsibility is to fund the fourth semester, and Ms. Amira will elaborate on this in a moment, and also Dr. David if he wants to add something. So now the timeline of the program. So as we see, we only have 11 days till the deadline, so we don't have much time. Um, Please get your applications complete and all your documents complete, because this is the deadline for the scholarship. No documents will be submitted after this date. And after that, there also will be the reviewing phase after the application. If you have any questions, please write them in the Q&A. All right, so we will be reviewing the applications, and then there will be a short list that would go into the interview. And the interviews most likely be in the second week of November. And once the scholars are selected, we announce the final decision in early December, because the deadline for the University of Minnesota application is 15th of December. So you have to know if you are accepted or not prior to this. And then we submit the application for the University of Minnesota, and we hear back from them usually in February or March, maybe a bit earlier. And then the academic year starts late August in 2026. Okay, now in terms of how the process goes for the selection. So as we said, first, Newton reviews the application forms, and then there is an interview phase. The panel is usually comprised of experts in the field of development, and they are looking for candidates with clear vision on what they want to do and what they want to accomplish in the field of development in Egypt, and how this program will help and contribute to that goal, and how they're going to achieve it through the YLSS program and the MDP program. So now Ms. Amira will tell us more about the terms and conditions that every candidate and every student are required to abide by.
Thank you, Nadine. Okay, so as part of the scholarship, when you finish going through the process and you're accepted to the scholarship, we start signing the student contracts. And as part of these student contracts, there is a section called the terms and conditions of the scholarship, whereby it outlines the terms that the students who are on the scholarship are expected to fulfill. So the first point is completing your study on time. So the duration of the program is 4 semesters on the duration of 2 years. Therefore, there is no space in the scholarship that allows for you to expand this duration or go less and kind of minimize the courses together in a year instead of 2 years. So you have to go by the exact duration of the program. The second requirement, which is a very important requirement and goes in line with the first thing we mentioned when we were discussing the strategy of Sawiris Foundation and the idea of empowering agents of change. So in order for us to see the impact this master's degree has done on you as a development practitioner, we would have to require you to come back to Egypt and work in the development year for at least 2 years. So why is this term or this condition very important? It's because this is how we measure the impact of our interventions. So in order for you as a student or as a scholar who received the scholarship to kind of transfer this knowledge that you gained into the development field, you will have to come back to Egypt and work in the field in Egypt. And most of our students have already done so. The third requirement or term is that the thesis or the capstone project as a requirement of the program should be discussing or addressing a relevant topic in the Egyptian context. So if you want to discuss poverty, if you want to discuss the development generally in Egypt, but the most important thing is that it has to be referred to or applied to the Egyptian context. Fourth condition is regarding the funds. So as Nadine mentioned, this is a partially funded scholarship. We fund 3 semesters out of the 4 semesters, plus the living expenses and the stipend and all of that. However, for the 4th semester, it's the responsibility of the scholar to cover it, whether through personal finances or through seeking some type of employment on campus. And I guess Dr. Dave can expand on this more.
Sure, Amira, thank you.
Yes.
With respect to, I'll say a few things about the fellowship in that second year where it's not a full coverage. First, I should start by saying that something that was mentioned early in this webinar, which is that it is quite unusual for a fellowship to pay both tuition and living expenses, or a stipend for living expenses. In that regard, this is quite honestly the best fellowship that any student in our program has, right? So they can take university fellowships, they can take fellowships from other areas. I'm sure there are people who probably have private foundation fellowships that we're not aware of. But in terms of what's available through the university, this fellowship is really quite unique in the fact that it pays beyond the tuition. So I just want to make that clear that, you know, it's one thing to hear the Newton Foundation say it or to hear Sawiris say it, but I want you to hear it from the university perspective as well, that it's unusual. And we're very grateful for that, I should add. The reason for the second year, well, aside from just finances in general, the reason for the second year being not fully funded is actually a derivative of the success of the fellows in previous years at finding graduate research assistantships as second-year students. And the way it works at the University of Minnesota and in most US universities is if you receive a graduate research assistantship, it covers both to a portion or all of your tuition, and it provides an hourly wage up to 20 hours a week. And so what has happened over the 10 years of this fellowship is that so many of the fellows have received graduate research assistantships that we realized that full funding, you know, for the foundation to be smart about their budget, right? We realized that full funding was not necessary for most students to be successful at the program, both academically and financially. And so the decision was taken for this and other reasons to reduce the amount of funding in the second year. The way it is presented on the screen right now is that the student is responsible for the 4th semester. And that technically that's true, but it's important for you to hear me say that most of the students with this fellowship who have come to the program have not had to cover the cost of that semester because they've been successfully able to find graduate research assistantships which cover or offset the majority of that cost. And so it's a little bit of a scary thing to look at, I know, because it's a big number, but it's also true that the majority of students have been successful at finding opportunities to reduce or eliminate that additional, at least the tuition aspect of it in the final semester. And so there's a little bit of a leap of faith that has to happen. And I think when we discussed it earlier, it's not that that money needs to be demonstrated up front. It's just something that you need to know as somebody coming into the fellowship, that there's the possibility that that expense will be there, but there's a lot of work that goes into making sure that that doesn't become an expense for you through networking and relationship building that can help you to find research assistantships as a student. I don't know if that helps to clarify that fully, but hopefully it gets you some more information about it.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. David. And again, with Amira, she will tell us more about the alumni of the YLSS program.
Okay, so as we mentioned a couple of times, the program is very interdisciplinary, and this is reflected with the different career paths that our students were able to secure. So we'll just go through them as some examples. So for example, we have Mohammed Ibrahim, who is a senior accountant at PT of the city. We have Naira Al-Husseini, who is the graduate of 2019, and she works at JPAL, Abdulatif Jameel Poverty Action, which is a very, very important research center and data analysis center that most of the civil society organizations in Egypt work with. We have Ahmed Al-Sheikh, also 2017-2019. He works at McKinsey & Company as an engagement manager. Nadine, can you? Yes. We also have Sara Zaghloul. She works as the CSR and in the CSR and sustainability section in Hassan Alam Holding. We have Isra Midhat, who pursued more of an academic career or in academia. She works as a graduate research assistant at the School of Public Affairs, the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And we have our lovely Namatullah, who will be speaking for herself today. I don't want to say the info that she's going to be saying, but she also pursued her PhD, and she'll give you more details on that, on her experience. Okay, we have Sora Ragab, who also pursued an academic career, and she's now a PhD student and a graduate research assistant at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. And it shows you that they did enjoy their experience in their masters, and this is why they took another step further in their academic career and they pursued a PhD. We also have Khalid Abdelatif. He's a strategy and execution director at Pioneer Management Consulting. We also have Nuran Ali. She's a learning and impact strategy manager at Great Twin Cities United Way. Okay, we have Madonna. She is a senior financial analyst, and we have Amani Abdunur, who works as a research assistant at UNDP. Dalila Yasser, she works as a monitoring, evaluation, and learning advisor at Pathfinder. And you'll see that these are all very big names in the field. Malak Sabri, she was also a colleague at Sawiris Foundation, so she received the scholarship and she came back to Egypt and worked at Sawiris Foundation for social development for a couple of years. And this is something that we always give priority to our alumni to work within the foundation. Monica Gindi, she joined us last online webinar. She works as a research specialist at Environment and Development Group. And Sally Al-Fishawi, these are our last two alumni, the most recent graduate. She works as the immigration case specialist at the International Institute of Minnesota.
Thank you a lot, Amira. And now we have our alumna, Namatullah. Namatullah Sulaiman, she is PhD student in comparative and international development education and a graduate instructor at UMN, Department of Organizational Leadership, Policy and Development at the University of Minnesota. She will be sharing with us her experience as first an applicant, a student, and now as a graduate.
Thanks, Nadine, and thanks everyone for inviting me to be with all of you here today. I'm actually very glad to be back with Dave and with the Sawiris Foundation and just be in the presence of these lovely people. So as Nadine said, I graduated from the MDP in 2021. And I just want to echo what Dave said about how generous and how I think when you get into the PhD and you start making the stipend of a PhD, you realize how generous the scholarship was and how easy they make it for you to actually focus on your studies and succeed. So the program for me, I want to share my experience, starting from the application and the support I got from the Newton Foundation when I was applying also for the university. It has been very helpful and great that they walk you through each step and each milestone until you actually get here to the university. And the program itself, I would say for me, has been really transformative in every way. I graduated in 2015 from Cairo University, political science major. And then I worked for the Egyptian government for a while. I'm used to say the Egyptian government because people don't know what government is, just the government, the Ministry of Planning. And then for 2 years, and then I applied for the scholarship and the program. The program for me, what makes it so unique is that it combines both the rigors of an academic learning and academic courses with also practical and hands-on experience. So when you graduate from the program, you're not only trained like in a very theoretical and abstract concepts and learning, you also have very hands-on skills and practical experience that you can actually go out to the job market and apply, and sets you up for success in whatever job that you're interested in development. So that's one thing that makes this program unique in my opinion. And the other thing is how, and Dave touched on that, how interdisciplinary the program is. So I remember taking courses on economic development and sustainable development, but also courses on public health and education, which I decided to later on pursue for my PhD. So it offers you a wide range of topics, a wide range of skills that really gets you to formulate a holistic understanding of how development issues are. Because as we all know, when you get out there and face what's happening in the real world, it's usually just not a standalone issue when it comes to development. There are usually multiple factors affecting whatever challenge or change that you're working towards. So it's something else that I really appreciated about the program is how interdisciplinary it was. And back to the practical components, I think as Dave also mentioned, the major transformative experience usually is the field experience that you do between the 2 years. Unfortunately for me, it was COVID. So I was planned to travel to Kenya, but I didn't. I had to do that remotely, but still the project was very interesting and very unique. Along with a teammate from my cohort, we worked with a local organization in West Kenya, and we developed, which is something was completely outside of my comfort zone, but again, building skills, transformative skills that you can apply anywhere. We worked with a local organization called Organic Health Response, and we developed a talk show to disseminate accurate information when it comes to raising awareness around COVID-19 and the implications of COVID-19, because the radio is the most is the medium that the most of the community on the island uses. So that's why we did like a talk show on the radio. So again, we disseminated information around issues of mental health, domestic violence, and other implications of COVID-19. But really the skills that we were learning were around intercultural communication, how we talk to diverse communities, how do we work around issues of preserving heritage and preserving cultures. So when you look at the big picture, you can see that it was just more than just developing a talk show. It was actually skills building in the making of the project. And then we built on that for our capstone project when we worked with the team in West Kenya also to transition the radio station that we were working with into an independent and sustainable foundation of its own. And we had multiple parts on how to do that. So yeah, that was my field experience. That was not very much in the field, but again, very valuable lessons and skills that I took on to apply in my professional career later on. And the final thing I would say that was very unique for me at the U of M in large and also at Humphrey and the program is that the faculty and the staff are not only experts in their fields, but they are also mentors who are deeply invested in making us succeed and making sure that we're getting out of, like what we're getting out of the program is valuable and is applicable in the real world. So for me, I was lucky to have a classmate that was very international from various backgrounds and countries, which also enriched the discussions and broadened my perspective. But I would say the environment overall is just very supportive. I went back after the program and I worked for a couple of years. So I just want to make sure I say that I did go back because that's a requirement that I encourage everyone to abide by. I went back and I worked as a senior program officer at the Economic Research Forum, which is a regional research network based in Egypt. I spent 2 years here, and while I was doing that, managing research project, I realized that I actually want to be on the other side of the equation where I'll be conducting research. So that's why I came back and pursued my PhD in comparative and international development education. So I'm currently doing that, and I'm also teaching at my department a course on leadership. And I would be very honest to say that a lot of the skills and the hands-on experience that I gained during my MDP still applies even in my teaching, in dealing with my students. And even I've worked on a multiple community-based research projects. Some of them were at the Humphrey School, some of them outside of the Humphrey School. And still what I've learned in the degree is just, I've been enhancing my professional career ever since. That's all I have for you today, but feel free to ask me anything or reach out to me. I think they have my LinkedIn or something. If you have any question, I'd be happy to answer that. And thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Namatalla. That was a very, very exceptional journey I see you went through. Now, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box and we will answer them. I see we have a question. Would it be feasible for a mom with a 4-year-old child, I think, to be eligible to? So is it possible for a mother to have a child with her?
I am going to start to answer that question, and I'll ask Nama to complement my response. So I don't know if there are barriers to bringing children through the fellowship itself, but we have had students in the program with families before. We currently have a member of our second year cohort has 3 children actually, and is working with the program. And it's a little bit difficult for her. She has a lot of responsibilities to balance, but we do what we can to make it work. So I would say most certainly you should not see having a child as a barrier to participation and success. I think that you're likely, to be challenged in some ways by it because of the way that education happens. Here, there's a lot of group work and a lot of organizing outside of the classroom schedule. And that is something that you will have to be prepared to confront and deal with, but it's not something that should prohibit you from participating in the program. Nama, do you want to share anything based on your experience in response to that question?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I think it's very feasible given, that's my opinion, given how usually, as I was saying, supportive the environment here at the Humphrey School and the program is. I think it's very doable, and especially that for the first 3 semesters, they don't have, I would be skeptical if you have to work beside that for the full 2 years. But given that the scholarship covers the first 3 semesters and you don't actually have to hold a job beside doing your studies, I think it's doable. I definitely don't see that as a barrier to applying.
All right. So someone is asking, is it for specific majors?
So let me make sure I understand that question by sharing what I think you're asking, right? Do you need to have a particular or a specific major to be eligible to participate in the program? And the answer to that is no. So we actually are designed to bring people in from different training, different types of disciplinary training, to work together around the theories and practices of development, with the understanding that folks will move back into their preferred area after the program. And so it's really it's a gathering together of people with different backgrounds, a collaborative common experience for 2 years, with the expectation that people will move out into different spaces professionally after the program. So no is the short answer to that question.
Right. So someone is asking, I'm a current student in literature English. Can I apply to study both programs? If you're currently a student, you would not fulfill the requirement of having at least 2 years of work experience. And we don't require volunteering experience only. You can have 2 years of volunteering experience, but that's not work experience. So if you're currently a student, you still have to graduate, work for 2 years in the development field, and then apply for the YLSS. Okay, so someone is asking, could we share the LinkedIn profile for Miss Namatalla?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another question. I know it may be a repetitive question, but regarding the funding of the fourth semester, I read that it cost 34,000 US dollars and funded by the foundation. Is that correct? Secondly, in the same regard, what did Dr. Dave mean when he said that it is doable through finding other funds or other programs? I need more elaboration on that. Thank you. So this
Yeah.
is
Good. It's a great question, and I didn't want to get too far into the specifics of it, but I'll explain a little bit more carefully now how it works. So at US universities, perhaps this is true elsewhere, but at US universities, we tend to have two different types of graduate research assistantships, is what we call them, GRAs. And the first type, this is a little bit confusing. The first type is called a 0.5, and the 0.5 assistantship provides full tuition coverage and 20 hours a week of work, paid. The 0.25, or the 1/4 position, covers half of the tuition and 10 hours of paid work time per week. So if a student in the final semester were to have a 0.5 graduate research assistantship, the tuition cost would be zero, and the student would receive 20 hours at, let's just say, approximately $20 per hour, so $400 a week in payment. That is true in the fourth semester, right, as the example that I'm giving you, but it could also be true in the third semester, right? So it may be that someone gets an opportunity to work in the third semester, but not the fourth semester. It may be that somebody gets an opportunity to work in the third and the fourth semester. Or, of course, it's possible that there won't be an opportunity to get a research assistantship. And so any number of configurations can result from reality, but when these assistantships are received, that's how they work, right? So quarter time would cover half of the tuition for that semester, and a half time would cover all of the tuition for that semester. And thereby, it would basically, if you were able to get a half-time research assistantship in your final semester or even in your third semester, it would mostly offset the cost of the $34,000 that's being listed up there. I hope that's helpful to that question.
Can I ask, thanks, Dave. Can I add one thing? I was meaning to tell that when I was talking, but I forgot. So when it comes to the graduate assistantships, which is largely how people without funding or students without funding fund their studies, I'm currently doing that for my PhD. I don't have a scholarship or a fellowship, so I look for graduate assistantships semester by semester to fund my tuition and also to get my stipend. So I say that to say that it's doable to find something, a graduate assistantship, whether, as Dave mentioned, the 50%, which is the 0.5, or the 25%, which is the 0.25. The stipend that you get should be able to sustain your living, and they also waive the tuition based on the percentage of the employment that you get. I've been doing that for 3 years, so I just want to say that if you have any specific questions about this type of employment, I'm also happy to answer this.
Thank you, Ramatullah. Another question to Ramatullah. What would I take care of to make my application stand out?
I'll assume that this is for the application for the scholarship. But if it's for the university, I think some things apply for both. I would say the first thing is, and this is something I tell people when you write your personal statement, I can remember if you require a personal statement for the scholarship application. Do you? I think you do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do require a personal statement.
Okay, thank you, Nadine. The personal statement has to show the committee who you are in addition to what you do and your experience. And it's just in the name. You have to show them who you are, what values do you hold, in addition to what your professional experience is, and what you have to offer. And this is the first thing. The other thing is, what I think is very important for the application is the recommendation letters. choose them carefully and choose people who know you and can write really well about you. This adds so much weight to your application. And I would say fast forward, inshallah, if you got to the interview, as Nadine mentioned at the beginning, they want to see someone who knows to a large extent what they want to do with the degree, what's going to add to their career when they come back.
Great, thank you, Ramatullah. So someone is asking how I get the 2 years experience, if that's what you mean. You just have to work in some sort of a development field, either educational, urban development, medical development, for 2 years, and then you apply. I think that's what you mean. All right. Someone is asking regarding the eligibility criteria. Should the development experience be in a specific development area, industrial, social, health, etc.? Secondly, when should the language result be ready? If someone wants to add to my answer, it doesn't have to be in a specific development field. It could be in the industrial field, it could be in the social field, educational field, health field, it's okay. And when should the language results be ready? Ideally, it should be ready by the 25th of October, the deadline. And we have a very short window till the interviews. So I don't know if we will be accepting English tests or documents after that deadline. So that's not guaranteed. But ideally, it's by the 25th. Should I be accepted in a MS program to be able to fill YL fellowship application? I really don't understand the question. Do you have to be accepted in the MDP program to be you first apply for the Yousriya Loza-Sawiris scholarship, and as I said, you apply. The deadline is the 25th. You get to the interviews by the second week of November. You know if you're accepted or not by first early December, because we have to start working on the application of the University of Minnesota to submit it by the 15th of December. So first you apply for the YLSS, and then when you get accepted, you apply for the MDP program, if that's what you mean. Okay, I had IELTS, the result was 6, we'll have to repeat it. The soonest appointment would be middle of December. So there are other options. You have TOEFL and you have Duolingo. Duolingo is the quickest application test. So you can use Duolingo, or you can go through the Duolingo test, and it's much faster when you get the results. So there are other options, and you have to have it by the 25th of October, because middle of December is gonna be the deadline for the MDP program, the University of Minnesota. So that's not gonna be doable to apply to admit it by the middle of December. Okay, so I'm very interested into studying MBA. I don't think this is relevant. I am graduate from STEM school. I don't think this is relevant. We can answer this later. Is there a conflict of interest if anyone was working for the USAID or the Legacy US Embassy? Would you want to answer this, Amira or Dr. David?
From our side, as a scholarship, we don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Dr.
Likewise,
David?
that would not be a problem.
Okay, so you're most welcome to apply for the MDP program. Okay, so we have answered this question.
Regarding the question about the MBA in Europe, I think this person is just asking about other fully funded scholarships that the foundation provides. So I encourage him to visit our website and check all the different scholarships that we offer. I think the most relevant to the things that he mentioned would be the OSSP scholarship, which is the Yousriya scholarship. So he can visit the website and read more about it, because it would be irrelevant to talk about it now. I don't want to confuse anyone.
It's a good reminder also, thank you for that answer, but it's also a good reminder to mention that the MDP degree is a STEM degree, newly reclassified for this current cohort. So if anyone's wondering about that, it is a STEM degree.
Thank you, Dr. David, and thank you, Amira. Regarding academia, is it still working to apply, but in research for community and development, doing field work? Mariam Ragab is asking. I don't think the question is clear. If someone wants to step in and answer this. Mariam Ragab's question.
Mari, I'll answer that live because Mariam, I think I responded to your previous version of that question. And I think if you were the one who asked if it's okay to apply, even if you've been working at a university that's community-facing work, the answer is yes in both the first and the second version of your question. I'm not sure I understand what the second part is trying to ask that's different from the first, but I would say just generally speaking, if you work at a university and you have a community orientation to your work, which is often the case, at least from our perspective at the MDP degree, that would be a reasonable experience to bring to the degree program. I hope that addresses your question.
Sharif Al-Ghazaz was asking if theater would be considered as a field of development, and then he clarified that he specified in developmental and interactive theater. So will that be considered as a development field?
Yeah, I think the important thing is not so much which field you are working in, it's that you have a way of connecting that work to the challenges of sustainable development, right? So as I mentioned in the typed response, I have lots of colleagues within the global MDP network who use theater as a means of catalyzing community change, right? So if you're coming to this program and saying, I'm a theater major and I work on community-based theater, if you can explain why that feels like a good fit to you for the type of change-oriented work that we do in sustainable development, then it's acceptable from our perspective. But you need to make that connection, right? I guess that goes back to the question that asked Nama, how you stand out in an application. It's not so much as how you stand out, but it's important for you to connect what you've done to what you want to do in the future, right? To be able to explain the journey that you see before you in a way that helps us to understand how the parts fit together.
Okay, last question we have is that could I know if I have another master degree, could I still apply? You could still apply. However, a priority would be given to someone who hasn't gone through post-grad education. So you can still apply and you will still be reviewed as a candidate. However, as I said, it's just for everyone to have equal opportunities. Please type in your question in the Q&A if you have any questions before we end the session. Isra Abdel Karim is raising her hand. Can you please type in your question? Okay, so actually, even if you still, if you still have, okay, Hassan, last question. I applied this year and I got rejected when I apply again. If you applied in previous cohorts, will you be rejected? No, you will not be rejected. The selection will be like starting this cohort. We're not gonna look back at previous cohorts, so you will not get rejected. Where can we find another application of the University of Minnesota? The application, Dr. David can also help. It's on the website of the University of Minnesota. I have 2 diplomas. Can I apply? Okay. or would that be available after the application? The MVP programs application, I think it's on the website. However, we help you with reviewing the application before you submit it, and also to guarantee that you're going to be able to have the scholarship for funding. Here are the links if you want or need to contact us. Someone needs to say anything? Okay, I want to say that we're still accessible. If you have any questions after our session, you can email us at YLSS email. It's stated in the chat box and in the on the screen. And also you can reach out to us through phone number or WhatsApp at this phone number stated also in the chat box or on the screen. And thank you so much, Dr. David, Ms. Amira, and Amatallah. And really, I think it's quite interesting and insightful. So thank you so much for your time, and for everyone attending the session. Thank you for being here, and good luck with your applications. And still, again, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask them at any point of the application process. Thank you and take care.
Thank you so much, Nadine, and thank you for everyone who attended. And as Nadine said, we're always here to help. So at any time, please feel free to email us or contact us on the links in front of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Nadine and Amira.
Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you, Namatallah. Bye-bye.